I don't know. It could be Bristol, it could be Shulman. I have no idea who's coming down. Unless first you have Shelton.
But I gotta give my the MMA fighter a little bit credit, you know, because that guy still have a little more humility. This is 4 week schedule. That means 30-day period. Make it look small. He has to hide. Guys, they want that much smoke. Some people, he grabbed his wife and let her.
And that's if he has Shelton.
And then when he's still, see, when that so many people, I took my head back and get him. Man, I'm gonna go and grab his wife and let her. That man is the biggest coward you will ever fly. I worked for him on 6 floor. I worked.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Judge Corey Amanda Cotham. We're here for the afternoon session of First Appearance Court. As a reminder to everyone, everything that we say here is being recorded and can be used against you at a later date. And so I do encourage you to speak to your attorneys before speaking on the record this afternoon. As we are getting started this afternoon, we're going to get a little bit of a change of pace here. I'm going to actually address the hearing docket first, and then we'll go to the first appearance docket following that. I have one case that's been requested to be called out of turn, and that is for Michael Thomas on page 3 of the felony docket.
Thank you, Judge. With Mr. Thomas's permission, I'm going to waive his presence.
All right, is this a second look?
Yes, Judge, he's on page 3.
Okay. And what are we doing with Mr. Thomas?
This is a 30-day motion, Your Honor.
Oh, excuse me, okay. All right, and have the charges been filed in Mr. Thomas's case? Okay. All right, so then that motion will be denied,
Thank you,
and
Judge.
his arraignment hearing will be able to get scheduled. All right, thank you. Okay, so then I have one misdemeanor case, so let me just go ahead and address that. That's gonna be for Melinda Ventry.
And she's at the Paul Ryan facility, Judge.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Ventry.
Good morning, Your Honor.
All
Good
right.
afternoon.
So this is a second look hearing, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, hold on one second, Ms. Ventry. Let me just hear from the attorneys. I see her bond is
Judge.
currently set at $1,000.
Her probation has been reinstated,
Okay.
and the state is offering adjudication time served on the misdemeanor, and she's prepared to accept that.
All right, Mr. Linder, is that correct?
It is.
All right. So, Ms. Ventry, if you want to resolve the case today, the offer would be an adjudication of guilt with time served and a no return order to the location of the trespass. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor. Can you tell me the location?
Yes, let me get one of the attorneys to tell me because I don't have it right in front of me.
I don't have it in front of me.
Are one of you able to tell me?
If not, I can. When I get out, I can look at the clerk of courts.
Okay, that's fine, Ms. Ventry.
Website.
So if you would do that, that'll make it easier,
Okay.
okay? All right, but you understand that that means you're not to go there, right?
Yes, Your Honor. This is criminal mischief, correct?
This is trespassing,
Trespass.
Okay.
okay?
That's the only matter before the court today, Ms. Ventry.
Okay. All right, so Ms. Ventry, do you wish to accept that offer and resolve this case today?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, and now you can put your hand down. And Ms. Ventry, do you understand everything we've discussed so far this afternoon?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is anyone forcing you to resolve this case?
No, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of drugs or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
Do you need any more time to speak with your attorney?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, and do you understand that you have the right to trial, but you're waiving that right by taking a plea today?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, have you ever been treated for mental or emotional illness?
No.
And do you understand if you are not a U.S. citizen, taking a plea today will subject you to deportation or other immigration changes?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and Ms. Ventry, what plea do you wish to enter, guilty or no contest?
No contest.
All right, I accept your plea and find that it is freely and voluntarily given. As we discussed, your sentence will be an adjudication of guilt with time served and a no return order.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Ventry. Good luck to you.
Judge.
Yes.
Ms. Ventry? Judge, I just looked online. She has a criminal mischief case pending, and a capias was issued on that on the 3rd of March.
I was incarcerated at the time. I had a misdemeanor. I was held at North Broward, and they never took me. You can look at the dates from the time I got arrested and when I got the capias. I was incarcerated, Your Honor.
Okay.
And they just never brought me to
Okay,
to
well,
court.
hold on. Don't leave
She
me
was
yet then.
arrested February 27th, Your Honor, and has been in custody nonstop since.
Okay, so she was in custody when that was issued?
Yes, ma'am. Would the court consider RORing her on that case?
Yes.
Thank you. I'll prepare the order.
Thank you. All right, so Ms. Ventry, I'm going to write an order so that we don't get you re-picked up on a case so we can address it now, okay?
Thank you so
But
much, Your
just
Honor.
remember, Ms. Ventry, since that's a pending case, a new court date will eventually get set. So it's going to be your responsibility to find out when the court date is so that there's no issue. Yes, Mr. Linder?
She's not being held on it, is she, Dale?
Capias has issued.
She's not being held on it.
Not yet, but when they go to,
That's fine. It'll be an order vacating the capias.
very well, thank
Okay,
you.
we'll do it. Thank you, Mr. Linder, for taking care of that. All right, so you heard what I said, Ms. Ventry. Make sure that you check to see when the court date is so that you don't miss anything.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. And Mr. Miller, we'll just make sure we check with confinement that the language is what it needs to be, so that doesn't hold her up.
Very well, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll go to the felony docket now. Brandon Goss.
He is at Conti, Your Honor.
Okay, this is a 30-day motion.
It is.
All right. Good afternoon, Deputy. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Goss.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. All right, so Mr. Goss, you're here on a 30-day motion, and Mr. Linder, have the charges been filed?
No, Judge.
All right, is there anything else holding Mr. Goss?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Goss, since the state has not formally filed these charges, you are entitled to an ROR. That means that you'll be released today. So I just need you to understand that though you're going to be released today, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the end of the case. So it's going to be your responsibility to be in contact with your attorneys in the clerk's office so that you know if there are any future court dates you have to be present for. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, Justin Swain.
Main jail, Your Honor.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Swain.
Good morning, ma'am.
All right, so Mr. Swain is here on a 30-day motion. Has the charge been filed?
No, Judge.
All right, is there anything else holding Mr. Swain?
No.
All right, so Mr. Swain, since the state hasn't formally filed the charge, you're entitled to the ROR. I just need to advise you that though you're going to be released today, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the end of the case. So it'll be your responsibility to be in contact with your attorneys in the clerk's office so that you know if there are any future court dates you may need to be present for. Do you understand that? Okay. All right. Thank you very much, sir. Good luck. Sheldon Gray.
Major,
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Gray.
just wait. Hello, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. All right, Mr. Gray's here on a 30-day motion. Have the charges been filed?
No, Judge.
Is there anything else holding Mr. Gray?
Yes, there is. When I looked up, I believe there's a case number 20002167 CF10A. I believe it's for a felony petty theft, and I believe he has a $1,000 bond on that case.
All right, so Mr. Gray, if you need to discuss this with your attorney privately further, you can, but I just need to advise you that in this case that's before me today, since the charges haven't been filed yet, that means that legally you're entitled to an ROR. But my understanding is that there are other charges holding you right now that you have bond for. So if you want the ROR on these charges, I will give it to you, but understand if that happens that you're not going to be getting time served on these as you remain in custody. Do you understand?
I understand.
Okay, so do you want the ROR or do you want me to leave it as it is so that you continue to accrue that time served?
You can give me the RR.
Okay, all right.
Please.
So then I will grant the ROR on these charges, and that will leave the remaining charges to be dealt with. All right, good luck, sir. Next will be Nicholas Hudson. Thank you.
Major, supporting.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Hudson, or good afternoon, excuse me. All right, Mr. Hudson is here on a 30-day motion. Have the charges been filed?
Information has been filed, Judge.
All right, so then, Mr. Hudson, since the charges have been filed, that means your next step will be to go before your division judge for an arraignment hearing.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Good luck to you. Next will be Rashawn Neety. Thank
Auntie.
you.
Auntie,
Thank you. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Neety.
Good afternoon, ma'am. NT.
NT, excuse me. All right, so Mr. NT is here on a 30-day motion. Have the charges been filed? Is there anything else holding Mr. NT?
Yes, Judge. Mr. Inty has a Bay County hold.
Okay. So, all right, so Mr. NT, since the state hasn't yet formally filed these charges, you are legally entitled to the ROR. But what your attorney is telling me is that you are also being held on an out-of-county hold. So if you want the ROR today on these charges, I will grant it to you, but understand that you will remain in custody and you won't be getting time served on these charges. So you have the option of either taking the ROR or I can leave it in place as it is so that you continue to accrue that time. What would you like to do?
Well, if I take the ROR, how long would I have to wait till, for Bay County to come and get me or not? Cause that's Panama City. if I'm not
Generally
mistaken.
speaking, Mr. NT, the other county will not come get you until you've resolved the case that's in front of you here in Broward, or a judge orders you back to that county. So the judge in Bay County would have to order you, or you would have to resolve this case.
Okay. So you understand that, Mr. NT?
I'm just a bit confused. So taking the ROR is not going to resolve this case.
That's correct. So if you want me to leave the bonds as they are, I can do that because you're going to remain in custody anyway, and you'll continue to accrue time served on it. Yes. Right, but we don't know when they would come pick him up. A week or so? Okay, Mr. NT, what confinement status is telling me is that if you do have the ROR, they believe that it would take Bay County about a week to come pick you up. Since it's not an out-of-state hold and it's just out of county, then they may be able to come get you quicker.
Okay,
All right, so
All right.
what would you like to do, sir?
I'll take the ROR, ma'am.
Okay, all right, so then I will grant the ROR, and Mr. NT, good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Okay, next will be Milius Oreas. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Oreas.
Good afternoon, Mr. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. All right, Mr. Oreas is here on a 30-day motion. Have the charges been filed?
Yes, Judge.
All right, so Mr. Oreas, since the state has formally filed these charges, that means your next step will be to go before your division judge for an arraignment hearing. So you'll likely be getting notice of that court date very soon. All right?
Oh,
Good luck to you,
okay.
sir.
Okay, nothing I can do about it?
Not today. It just means that your bonds will remain as they are. So either, I don't know if he has any no bond holds or not, but there's nothing we can do today, Mr. Oreas. Good luck, sir. Francisco Maltez.
Conti, Your Honor.
Okay.
Approach, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Maltez.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
All right. So Mr. Maltez is here on a
Yes, ma'am.
30-day motion. Have the charges been filed?
Yes, Judge.
All right. So Mr. Maltez, since the state has formally filed these charges, that means your next step will be to go before your division judge for an arraignment hearing. So you will likely be getting notice of that hearing date shortly. All right. Good
Okay,
luck to
ma'am.
you, sir.
Okay.
All right. Next will be Rudolph Baptiste.
Conti.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All
Good
right.
afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Baptiste. All right. He's here on a 30-day motion. Have the charges been filed?
Motion was filed prematurely. Mr. Baptiste had his first appearance before Judge Brown on February 29th.
February 29th. Okay. Oh, because these are ad charges. Is that the issue?
Yes.
All right. So then I will deny the motion for today's purposes, and when it is ready to be filed again, then we'll revisit it. All right, so Mr. Baptiste, the state still has some time before they need to file these charges. So for today's purposes, I'm going to deny the motion. Once we approach this, the deadline that they have, if they haven't been filed, then your attorneys will file a new motion and we'll address it then. All right?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. Good luck.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, next will be Shanquetta Cherry.
Paul Rye, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is this a second look?
Yes.
Who are we looking for, Your Honor?
Shanquetta Cherry? She's on one docket, not the other.
I don't have her in my.
She
Yeah.
wasn't.
What's going
She
on?
wasn't on the list of second looks that pretrial sent out.
Right.
Somehow she ended up on the physical docket the clerk created. I asked pretrial. Neither of us were sure how she got onto the docket.
Yeah, I don't have her at all.
Okay. No one can tell me why Miss Cherry's on the docket?
Just natural second look? I mean, administrative order second look?
No, the second looks that are made by pretrial is the administrative order second look.
Yeah, she's not on. She's not
Well-
on. All right. What do you want to do?
I don't know, Judge, she did have a violation of probation. It appears that she's resolved that one way or the other. It's unclear whether she's back on probation or completed her sentence. So, I don't know, is this charge even eligible for a second look?
It is, but I don't
Could
know
we
why
reset
she's
it for
on.
tomorrow?
That's fine. We'll have Ms. Cherry reset for tomorrow so that we can see what's going on with her.
Okay, Your Honor.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so next will be Jerome
He
Jackson.
bonded on Friday,
Bonded, all right, great. Next will be Alicia Castaneda.
North Broward Judge. This is a regular second look.
All right, good afternoon, Ms. Castaneda.
Good afternoon.
All right, Ms. Castaneda is here on a second look. Her bond is currently set at $1,000. Mr. Miller, I'll hear from you first.
Judge, Ms. Castaneda is reporting that she's unable to afford this bond. She has no one to post the bond for her. She's been living here in South Florida for about 3 years. She is currently homeless. We're asking the court to release her on her own recognizance on this nonviolent drug possession.
Mr. Linder, what do you?
I'd be asking for pretrial with random testing.
Mr. Miller, did you happen to discuss pretrial with her so she knows what that means?
I did not. She did indicate that she intends to check in at a shelter or a halfway house when she's released.
All right, so Ms. Castaneda, if you cannot afford the $1,000 bond, then I'm willing to release you, but it would be to standard pretrial supervision, and you would be subjected to random drug and alcohol testing. Do you understand that?
Okay, so what does that exactly mean? Like,
So I'm going to explain, okay?
okay.
So since it's standard pretrial supervision, that means that you would be released today, but you would have to go report to pretrial supervision tomorrow. One of the deputies will give you a piece of paper that has the information about where you need to go. But it's very important for you to understand that if you fail to report to them tomorrow, then a warrant will be issued for your arrest. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Additionally, as a condition of your release, you're going to be subjected to random drug and alcohol testing. That means no alcohol and no intoxicants until further order of the court. You understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And as part of standard pretrial supervision, you'll have to report to them 1 to 2 times per telephone a week. They'll give you all the instructions on what you need to do reporting-wise, okay?
Okay,
All right. Good luck to you, ma'am.
thank you.
I'm sorry. No, just random testing. And D'Angelo Villas.
Me?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good afternoon, Mr. Villas. He's here on a second look, and the bond is $1,000. Mr. Romero, I'll go to you.
Judge, after speaking to Mr. Villas, as you can see, no one was able to post his bond. He's 39 years old. He'd be living in Pompano Beach at his mother's address. He's been here his whole life. We're going to be requesting pretrial release for Mr. Villas.
Mr. Linder, I'll go to you.
No objection with random testing.
So, Mr. Villas, I'm going to release you and place you on standard pretrial supervision. You will be subjected to random drug and alcohol testing, so that means no alcohol and no intoxicants until further order of the court. The deputy is giving you a piece of paper there with some important information on it. Though you are going to be released today, you must report to pretrial supervision in person tomorrow. If you fail to report to them, as I've instructed you, a warrant will be issued for your arrest. Do you understand everything I've explained to you?
Yes, ma'am. Could I ask one more question? Is pretrial still open at this present moment right now?
Yes, it'll be open. You're going to go tomorrow and report to them. They'll be open, okay?
Oh, because I was gonna ask, could I just walk across the street now?
By the time you get out, they're probably going to be closed, so you're going to have to go tomorrow. All right? Thank you, sir. Okay, next will be Olga Valdez.
Paul Ryan, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, good afternoon, Ms. Valdez.
Good afternoon.
Ms. Valdez is here on a second look, and her bond is currently $2,000. Mr. Miller, I'll hear from you.
Judge, Ms. Valdez is unable to afford this bond, and no one is currently able to post it for her. She is a 21-year resident of South Florida. She's been at the same address for the past 10 years. There is nothing else holding her. We'll ask the court to consider releasing her on her own recognizance.
All right, I'll go to the state.
No objection to pretrial, Your Honor.
Okay, so Ms. Valdez, I'm gonna release you and place you on standard pretrial supervision. That means that you're going to be released today, but you have to report to pretrial supervision in person tomorrow.
Okay.
Before you're released today, one of the deputies will give you a piece of paper that has all the information about where you need to go. Please make sure that you do that, because if you fail to report to them as instructed, a warrant will be issued for your arrest. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Valdez. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, so that's it for our hearing docket.
There is one case that's not on the misdemeanor docket, Michael Smith.
Yes.
It's a 2016, I'm sorry, he's in custody on a 2016. What am I looking at? I'm looking at a case 20001416 MM10A. It was filed, a 30-day motion was filed last Friday and set for hearing today, but it's not on the docket today.
Was this set in front of the division judge?
Exactly.
It says Amanda Corey Cawthorn Corey, so they've got the name wrong. We still haven't fixed that. For Deborah Carpenter Toy, and it's set for this room on this date at 1 p.m.
I never received notice.
And it was filed on the 13th.
I never received notice. It was never included in
We've
the
had
email I
this issue.
received.
We've had this issue a number of times.
Very well.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so
thank
I'll
you.
leave that to Judge Carpenter Toy.
And
Okay,
thank you for taking those out of order, Judge.
not a problem. Okay, so now we're gonna go to our first appearance docket. First up will be Caitlin Williams.
Me.
Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, Ms. Williams.
Good afternoon.
Ms. Williams, you're before the court this afternoon on 2 charges. Count 1, disorderly intoxication in a public place causing a disturbance. Count 2 is false fire alarm. I find probable cause, and I'll hear from the parties.
Judge, I asked Mrs. Williams if is there anyone that can post her bond. She informed me she does not know anyone that can post her bond, and she's not in a position to post her bond herself. We're going to be asking for an ROR. Now, she's 21 years old. She's not from here. She just got here Thursday from Chicago. She advised me, I believe, that she's been arrested one time back in Chicago, I believe, for some traffic offense. She came down here for purposes of working. She hasn't found a job yet. We're asking for the court to consider releasing her ROR.
Your Honor, and I understand these are misdemeanor offenses, but frankly, from what Mr. Romero is telling us, it's not adding up. Someone travels from Chicago to Florida, doesn't have a job, and within, 3 or 4 days of getting down here, she gets arrested for pulling fire alarms, running around naked around a hotel, intoxicated. I would ask and I'm not asking that there need to be monetary release. I think some supervision would be appropriate.
Judge, if the court's not comfortable with the straight ROR on this misdemeanor offense, then we're going to be asking for a pretrial.
All right. All right, I'm willing to release Ms. Williams to standard pretrial supervision, so count 2 is going to be an ROR. Ms. Williams, please understand that though you're going to be released today, you must report in person to pretrial supervision tomorrow. The deputy's given you a piece of paper with some information on there about where you need to go, so you need to read that when we're done. If you fail to report to pretrial tomorrow, as I've instructed you, a warrant will be issued for your arrest. Do you understand that?
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
ma'am.
Thank you very much. Next will be Susan Durisma. Good afternoon, Ms. Durisma.
Good afternoon.
You're before the court this afternoon on 2 charges. Count 1, possession of cocaine. Count 2, possession or use of drug paraphernalia. I find probable cause, and I will hear from the parties.
Judge, she's been in Florida her whole life. She couldn't tell me who could possibly or potentially post her bond. So we're asking for the court to consider releasing Mr. Isma Arwar on pretrial.
No objection, Judge.
All right, Mr. Isma, I will place you on standard pretrial supervision with the requirement that you be subjected to random drug and alcohol testing. That means no alcohol and no intoxicants until further order of the court. Count 1 is going to be an ROR. Though you're going to be released today, you must report in person to pretrial supervision tomorrow. The deputy's given you a paper that has the information about where you need to go. Understand that if you fail to report to them tomorrow, as I've instructed you, a warrant will be issued for your arrest. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
All right, thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Next will be Ever Funes Vieira.
Bonded?
Okay. Elvin Ortiz.
Maine.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ortiz.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Mr. Ortiz, you're before the court on 4 charges. Count 1, DUI, alcohol or drugs. Count 2, DUI with damage to property or person of another. Count 3, operating without a valid license. And 4 is for possession of an open container in a motor vehicle while driving. I find probable cause, and I'll hear from the parties.
Judge, nothing to have from the defense. I'm going to be contacting his wife to post his monetary bond.
All right, anything from the state? All right, I will leave the standard bonds in place. Good luck, Mr. Ortiz. Terrion Bryant.
Please approach him, ma'am.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Bryant. Mr. Bryant, you're before the court this afternoon on 5 charges. Count 1, possession of MDMA. Count 2, resisting an officer obstructing without violence. 3, trespassing on school grounds. 4, operating without a valid driver's license. And 5 is a misdemeanor capias related to a charge for driving with a suspended license. I find probable cause, and I will hear from the parties.
Judge, nothing to add from the defense. I'm going to be contacting his fiancée to post his monetary bond.
All right, anything from the state? Okay, I will leave the standard bonds in place. Good luck, Mr. Bryant.
Hey, ma'am.
Yes.
Could I get a PD to come over and take pictures of my foot due to injuries?
I'm waiting to hear from your attorney. One moment.
Sir, if... One moment, Judge.
Go ahead.
I got my foot swole up big as it.
All right, hang on 1 second, Mr. Bryant.
Sir, at this time, I'm going to be contacting your fiancée to post a bond. You inform me that that's not going to be a problem. So when you get out, I want you to go ahead and take your own pictures to preserve it for your attorney. Do you understand?
Okay, so if I'm not able to post bond, then what?
Then that would be a problem. And right now, as far as our investigators from my office, I don't know when they'll be able to come and actually take photographs of the injury.
Okay.
All right.
Sir, but what causes me concern is your statement, you might not be able to get out. When I spoke to you earlier, you said it was not going to be a problem.
I was just saying, like, in some scenario, some case, if I wasn't able to get out, would they be able to come over here?
Well, we'll do the order as far as a photograph, but you're sure your fiancée will be able to post your bond, correct?
I'm pretty sure she would, but, I don't know. There's a lot of things going on out in the world right now.
All right, I'm going to leave the bond as it is. I'll sign the photo order, so if it's necessary, then they'll be able to do it. Okay? Good luck to you, Mr. Bryant.
Yeah.
Okay, next will be Alex Toomer.
Name.
Bonded?
Oh, bonded.
All right, great. Okay, and Alfonso Dukes.
Judge, Mr. Dukes, I wasn't able to speak to him. I'm gonna need to put that case on recall so I can speak to him.
Okay, I'm gonna put Mr. Dukes' case on a brief recall. Let me go ahead and go to the next case, is Richard Villela Kemp.
He's approaching.
Thank you. All right.
How you doing, Your Honor?
Good afternoon, Mr. Villela. All right, sir, you're before the court this afternoon on one charge of burglary of an occupied dwelling, an occupied conveyance unarmed. I find probable cause, and I'll hear from the parties.
You may recognize Mr. Kemp, Your Honor. He appeared before you last week. He posted bond on a DUI and was released. Let's see. He was arrested on the 9th and got out on the 12th. State would be requesting a $5,000 bond.
And Judge, I did speak to Mr. Villela as far as trying to gather information, make a bond amount request. He advised me at this time no one's going to be able to help post his monetary bond. He's not working, but he does live here in Deerfield with a roommate. Right now, he hasn't been posting or hasn't been paying rent because financially he's kind of struggling right now. I know his family's been helping him out. I'm asking if the court on this case will consider releasing him on pretrial release. If the court's not inclined, I'm going to be asking for a $1,000 bond on Mr. Villela's behalf.
Okay, well, I can tell you since he's out on bond in another case, I'm not going to be placing him on pretrial supervision. Rather than revoking his bond that he's already out on, I'm going to set the bond in this case at $2,000. All right, thank you. Next will be Calvin Baggs.
Ma'am.
Thank you.
Judge, we have a brief argument, count one.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Baggs. All right, Mr. Baggs, you're before the court this afternoon on two charges. Count one, possession with intent to sell, manufacture, deliver cocaine. Count two, driving while license suspended, third or subsequent offense. And Mr. Miller, I'll hear your argument.
Judge, there's no indication that there was an intent to sell or deliver. In fact, there was no mention of more than one baggie, so I'm not sure where that came from.
Okay.
Fine with simple possession, Judge.
All right, we will bring this down to possession of cocaine. I find probable cause. That would bring our standard bond amount down to $1,000 on that count, so I'll hear from the parties.
And Judge, nothing to request at this time. I'm going to be contacting Mr. Baggs for him to post his bond.
All right, anything further from the state?
No, Judge.
All right, so I'll leave the standard bonds in place. So once again, that's $1,000 on count one and $750 on count two. All right, good luck, Mr. Baggs.
Thank
Okay, and then the last case is Mr. Dukes, so Mr. Romero, I'll give you a few minutes to talk to him.
Your Honor.
Yes, who's calling me?
Conti still has Mr. Michael Smith.
He's not on my docket today, so he's gonna, that motion wasn't set on my docket, so it's gonna have to go to his division judge. That's the problem.
Okay, I'll let him know.
All right, thank you, I appreciate it.
No, I don't think this afternoon. I'll look into it. We'll see maybe tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow. Stay healthy. Lots of this. Okay. All right, so let's bring Mr. Dukes up to the podium, please. Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Dukes.
Oh, and Judge, we're gonna be waiving formal reading of the charges.
Okay. All right. I do find probable cause for the charges as listed, and at this time, I will hear the parties' recommendations. Okay.
Your Honor, on counts 1, 2, 7, and 8, the state would be seeking a $75,000 bond on each of those counts. I do believe Mr. Dukes poses a danger to the community, and it isn't just because of these allegations, though they are concerning. I can also advise the court, I spoke to Detective Rios this afternoon. He was actually on his way to the courthouse, but he got turned away at the parking garage by deputies. That's being worked on. But he advised me the materials, the substances that the juveniles are referring to in the report, they executed a search warrant and located the drugs, the alcohol, all the things that are mentioned, they were located in the home. Additionally, Your Honor, at the time of this offense, Mr. Dukes is out on bond for attempted robbery with a weapon, 2 counts of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, aggravated fleeing and eluding at a high rate of speed, resisting without violence, and reckless driving. One moment, Your Honor. One moment, Your Honor. While I'm looking that up, I would be requesting, should he post bond in this case, that he be supervised by pretrial release with a GPS monitor level 1. I know there are a limited amount, Your Honor, and but I do believe, based on the circumstances, it would be appropriate. He was released from custody on that case December 19th of last year. And I'm sorry, lastly, no victim contact, no contact with minors.
Judge, as far as the state's recommendations, their special conditions, no objection to that. However, if my math is correct on the 4 counts, the state has recommended about $300,000 bond. That's financially impossible for Mr. Dukes. He did advise me he's not working. He gets disability, approximately $798 a month. He is on housing, and he's living here in Hollywood, where he's been living at the same place for about 7 years. He does have family in our community, his mom, but she's not working. She receives Social Security. He said at most, his mom, using the services of a bondsman, would be able to come up with a total of a $5,000 bond. Now, I did speak to Mr. Dukes. He is out on that case. I believe it's a 2019 case in which he has a court date coming up on May 28th, but he's represented by regional counsel. I'm asking the court not to take any action, considering his counsel is not present. But on the counts before you today, $300,000 is something financially impossible for Mr. Dukes.
All right, well, it seems that the charges that Mr. Dukes is out on bond for are very serious, and the allegations that are before me today are very serious. While it would be well within this court's right to sua sponte revoke his bond in the pending case and hold him no bond, I'm not going to take any action on that case today. However, in light of that and the present allegations, I am going to grant the state's request, and I will set a $75,000 bond on counts 1, 2, 7, and 8. That will be $75,000 per count. I will leave the standard bonds in place on the other counts. If Mr. Dukes does post his monetary bond, he will be placed on pretrial supervision with a level 1 GPS monitor. There will be an order of no victim contact, as well as no contact with minor children. Mr. Dukes, that means no contact with anyone under the age of 18. The no contact order as it pertains to the alleged victims in this case means no being in the same place at the same time as these individuals. That includes no phone calls or text messages to them and no third-party contact or social media contact with them. Do you understand the no contact orders that I've explained to you?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, that brings us to the end of our docket for today, so I'll see everyone back here tomorrow morning. Thank you.